Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining for episode 3 of In Conversation with. Today I'm with Ger Clancy from ArtFx, who is the managing director and founder. Ger, good to have you with us.
How you doing? Nice to be here, James.
Thank you for coming and taking part. So let's get started. Could you tell us a bit more about your business? So ArtFx, what the name stands for, how you got started, your experience in industry?
Yeah, so we founded the company, myself and my co-director, Monica, about 2.5 years ago. Both of us had worked extensively in the area of the arts and performance, and as freelancers, and I suppose made the decision to kind of form a company to get a bit bigger and to expand on some of our kind of dreams and ambitions. And then it's been the last 2.5 years has just been kind of nurturing and growing that from a business perspective and from a creative and design perspective, learning along the way and trying to kind of keep step with how to scale and how to get it attract the right sort of work. A lot of the areas that we work in are in design for theatre, for film, spectacle, promotion, for advertising. So it's been, it's work that you don't always know what's coming down the line, but it's kind of, that's what's kind of exciting about it, as well as being a challenge. So that's where we've been so far.
Excellent. I was going to say some of our keen social media followers might have seen that you did a big installation for the Abbey Theatre made of mirrored acrylic.
Yeah, that's right. That was a really exciting project where I suppose it gave the opportunity to kind of invest in the big machine as well, which, you know, as I'm sure many people would know, it's a big bite to just get in there and purchase the laser cutter. And so that job came along, and I'd worked with laser cutters previously, so I knew it was the tool for the job. And following on from the conversation with the Abbey, I went out to Andy in Trotec here, and kind of described what the job was, what I needed to do, and he showed me through the various kind of suite of machines, and we settled on the Rayjet for a couple of reasons, I guess. That its large bed size could, first of all, carry out the task of the job that was at hand, and that it was a kind of a gateway machine into investing into the Trotec brand, I suppose, you know, and becoming part of that kind of family and of support. And yeah, so that was a big project. We didn't know exactly how well it was going to work, because it's a lot of mirrored acrylic hanging on a very thin wall. But I think the show was very successful, and all came apart in pieces and toured to London, I think, as well. So it's in there, the Abbey's repertoire now. So I'm sure it'll be you'll have a chance to see it again.
Excellent. And obviously, as people have seen, it's quite an impressive piece. So on the note, obviously, we've just discussed the Abbey Theatre piece. What other interesting projects have you had? So anything small scale that was really impressive, or anything really grand scale?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work we do for film might be for quite close-up, small-scale props, and quite often they incorporate a piece of laser cutting, as well as other processes. Most of that is obviously only ever seen as a film piece. So there's you have to kind of wait till the movie's released. Doing some work for one of the big sci-fi productions down South of Ireland at the moment, which is some lovely tidy things that only really a laser can do. And then some of the larger scale work, we for the Dublin Pride Parade made a huge float, which was sponsored by Dropbox. So the laser cutter was, again, the kind of perfect tool, both from the aspect of getting the kind of brand specific look to the Dropbox logo, and then also to execute what was a lot of mirrored perspex, and both in the cutting of those materials, but also we used the laser to make different jigs to line it all up and make stencils. So you're kind of using the laser cutter, I suppose, in a couple of different ways, which are as a tool and a tool maker, and as to produce this highly finished, precise brand look to the logos and so forth. So.
And that's excellent. Obviously, you've mentioned lasering a lot, but you've only had your laser about just under or just over a year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. It's just over a year. I mean, well, time is strange now because of the lockdown. It's
Yeah,
hit a bit of a
exactly.
time warp. But yeah, once like I say, got the Rayjet, which was kind of like almost like a gateway stepping stone into the laser cutters, and then it's that funny thing of once you have something, people kind of come to you looking for more of it, and really to kind of get into the big league. I knew what the big machine could do, and it's a fantastic kind of workhorse for really for tackling all the big stuff that needs to be done. But I knew I had a kind of a gap in what it could supply. So hence, from talking to Andy in Trotec, was to invest in the 360 to just step me along and to up my game in terms of etching and bits and pieces and just speed and efficiency. And there's no kind of sweeter moment than when you have a job that you're running on both machines simultaneously, and that's where you're kind of at your best in a way, you know.
Yes, exactly. It's like you say, obviously you were one of our first customers to get the R500, which is obviously the big Rayjet large format entry, and then you've got the Speedy 360 alongside it. So obviously you've got like double production almost capabilities.
That's it. That's it. And even for peace of mind, I found that quite good. You know, when particularly with film work, where they're working at kind of, I suppose, a certain level of urgency all the time, and you can't really mess up. And on the off chance that you hit a glitch on one of the machines or something, it's great to have a backup there. You know, so I suppose yeah, you need the work to keep coming. Obviously, when you invest in a second machine, but it was absolutely the logical step for me to be able to tackle both the miniature side of what we do and the large scale stuff, you know.
Excellent. And obviously you've invested in your lasers, but what was it, beforehand did you use? Was it, or was it from the foundation, you just need a laser? And that's how
Yeah, so I had access to one or two laser cutters and people that I know that have them. So I suppose in the instances where I needed something laser cut, I would have went to them. Because we design and make largely, I suppose that the laser cutter was an investment as a design tool, and now we have far greater offering of what we can supply as a design offering, and and that we can make it. Many times in the past, getting back to your kind of question there, was that if a job came along where there was a laser cutting component, I may plan it, I may run the job, and I bought in that service, I guess. So it's great to have it in-house, that for jobs where you're just asked to produce something, you can use your equipment to run those jobs. And from a design perspective, you can think bigger, because when you play on one of these machines, you realize there's a whole kind of world of possibility just kind of at your fingertips. And I think one of the big things I found with the laser cutters was the amount of efficiency you get out of one drawing. And I'm doing design for stage, where I'm doing AutoCAD plans for to pass across the creative team and to the directors and the construction department and so on and so forth, that I can use that same drawing to create a scale model. And sometimes I can use that same drawing to create key features that would be required to be laser cut. So you're getting kind of three uses out of one piece of work, so that's indispensable to improve your kind of workflow and efficiency.
Excellent. You mentioned obviously that you contacted Trotec and you spoke to Andy. Could you give us a bit just about your showroom experience and just how it overall was before you got to buying the R500? So what it was like along the buying journey?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess you walk into the first part of the showrooms and the bit that doesn't have the machines, and you see this beautiful stuff, and you're kind of you want to grab all of it and touch it and feel it and look at it. And once you get past that urge, you get towards the showcase of different materials that are on one or two kind of like the postcard holder things that swivel around, and you're kind of in awe with that. And then you and I guess Andy's used to people being pretty excited when they go in there, but then you get into the room to machines, which is kind of adjoining to that area, and he's talking you through the various machines at different, talking about their virtues, really, the scale of the jobs, that you might be taking on. So he's kind of gently inquiring as to what suits you best. And then he's kind of giving you an overview of where, if you invest in one of these machines, the support that comes with it and so forth, but also, where you want to be in terms of growing what could be a laser cutting company. So it might be wiser to invest in a smaller machine right now, because that's the nature of your work, and then work that along a little bit and then get the bigger machine. And in my instance, I saw the bigger machine off in the distance actually, and I thought that was going to be like way out of reach in terms of budget, and surprisingly it wasn't. And the reason Andy kind of led me down towards it eventually was because I explained what the particular job that was at hand, and it suited that purpose. But I think the ambition at that stage was to try and move towards this one that's behind me here, the 360, and thankfully it happened, because the flow of work that came in from the first laser cutter, which is over there, it was such that it was possible to invest in the next one, with a bit of help from the bank.
Absolutely, yeah. It's and obviously there is a bit of a difference between the two machines, so you still use them in conjunction, but it's very much a different kind of job, isn't it? So you do them more. Yeah,
it absolutely is. I mean, the Rayjet, I've literally cut out an elephant, which I think I sent you a picture of for the Abbey stage. And on this one, you're talking about doing things the size of your fingernail for some specialist close-up shots for movies. So it's you can, like, when I suppose when I invested in the Rayjet, I knew it could etch, but I was more interested in its large-scale cutting ability. But once I had it, I did do some kind of extensive etching around the machine for 14 hours straight one time, and I did it no problem, which I think Andy believed was a first. but that was for etching a very large-scale miniature model for a show. But really, once I had the 360, there's, you start to learn what suits each machine best, actually, and there are different virtues. And I think the job control software with the 360 is more sophisticated than the Rayjet, but each kind of work perfectly with its function that you'd be using it for, generally speaking.
I was going to say, did you find any sort of learning curve, obviously, when you've gone from the Rayjet software to Speedy, or was it just pretty easy transition?
No, I think it was a pretty easy transition for me. Yeah. I mean, if anything, it probably made it easier, actually, because you could calculate the job times and some of the settings. So like, yeah, no, I felt it was a really gentle transition. It was actually just, like opening a Christmas present,
Yes, absolutely. Okay, it was great to talk to you today, Ger. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thanks, James. Nice to talk to you too.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next episode.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.